everyone, it's Frankie-Lou. I'm coming to you today from the kitchen of the Grow To Gather Homestead, where I am just getting set here to prep a whole bunch of jars of some rhubarb red pepper jelly. So this is a favorite at the homestead here. Let's get started. First off, I want to make sure that I got all my materials prepped. And when I'm canning, it's a process because I set up the big canner back there. I always make sure I sterilize my jars. When I'm making jellies, I get a nice white plate and I pop it in the freezer earlier in the day, and I'm going to show you what that's about. It's about the gel set. I make sure that all of my various canning equipment is sterilized as well. I'm super concerned about that at all times. For this recipe, I use about 1.5 pounds of trimmed rhubarb. Like, it's going to be a lot more with the leaves on, but I use 1.5 pounds of trimmed rhubarb, which we'll chop up and we'll mince later to show you, and about 1.5 pounds of nice red peppers. So in this case, that turned out to be these 4 exactly, so that's great. But you want about equal portions by weight of red pepper and rhubarb. Other ingredients you're going to need: 6 cups of sugar, okay, plain old sugar, 3 cups of apple cider vinegar, and I like to use some ginger, and I also put about 2 jalapeno peppers in this. Now these have been prepped in advance. These are frozen, and I'm going to show you why in a minute when we do our prep, but I find that this is for quite a mild version. Okay, so first off, I'm going to chop very finely the rhubarb. What I've done is I've got it all chopped up pretty coarsely here, and I'm going to put about half of this in my Ninja here, because like I said, I'm not looking to puree. I'm looking more to just get a nice fine chop. Okay, so this is perfect now as to what I would like to do with it. I've got kind of a nice loose chop. It is going to break down a lot, but I don't want it to be juicy. So I'm going to pop this in my favorite jam pot. My favorite jam pot is like nice heavy, okay, and I know it can contain all my ingredients. It was worth the investment for me for recipes like this, where I know I'm going to be doing something on a long, slow, good even coverage, and I'm not going to burn. It's not going to burn. So I'm going to repeat that with the second half, and then we'll come back and do peppers. Okay, so I have my rhubarb in my pot here, and now I'm going to do the same with my peppers, which I've cored and seeded and chopped, and I'm going to process them to about the same. Pop all that in the pot as well. Got one big chunk that I'll put back through the second half. That's about what I wanted at there. This is a really delicious jelly with cheeses and meats, and we use it on tons of stuff. It also makes a really awesome Christmas gift. We give away a lot of this every year. I probably make about 60 jars of this a year because I have so much rhubarb, and I eat a lot of it myself. I'm gonna pop that in the big jam pot. Now, I've got my peppers and my rhubarb all nicely together. I'm gonna mix that up. It already looks really good. At this point, I'm not gonna add my ginger and my jalapenos yet. We're gonna add those closer to the end so they don't lose a lot of that zing we're looking for. But I am gonna add my 6 cups of sugar and my 3 cups of apple cider vinegar. And I'm gonna mix that all up. Now you wanna make sure you have a nice big pot like this, because this is gonna be boiling and you don't want it to boil over. And now I'm gonna put it on my oven and get it to a nice slow simmer. And I'm gonna let this go for almost an hour. okay? I want it to reduce down quite a bit, all right? And I want the gel to start to gel up. While that's going, I am going to stir it quite frequently. I don't want it to burn, obviously, and I don't want it to boil off. But you do gotta let this go for quite a bit. So I'm going to go set that up, and we'll check on it frequently. Now, I want to prep my jalapeno and my ginger. And like I said, I have a little trick where I freeze these in advance because I like to use the rasp grater. And when I do that, I get a really nice, fine, beautiful texture for both my ginger and my peppers. And it's a lot easier to incorporate it evenly into something than I find that sometimes when I grate, well, I find I can't really grate these well unless they're frozen. And with ginger, sometimes the fibers don't break down, but when I freeze it, they do. So I'm going to see how nice and pulpy that is. That's going to incorporate really well into the jam, okay, well, the jelly. So I'm going to do that with both of these, and I'm going to probably get myself, so I get 2 big tablespoons of nice grated ginger ready to go here. All right, we'll let that simmer down, and we'll come back when we're going to add that to the jelly. Okay, so this has been boiling away here for about half an hour now. It's probably reduced down by about 1/3. I want it to reduce down by about another 1/3. So I'm going to be checking on it very frequently, making sure that I'm stirring it frequently. I'm going to be probably starting to do my gel set test about 30 minutes. I'm probably going to start adding my ginger and my jalapeno to this for the last 10 minutes of its boiling, just so that it's cooked enough, but so the flavor is still there. We'll come back soon. Okay, so this has been boiling now for about 50 minutes, and as you can see, it is starting to pull on my stirring here a bit. And now is the time that I want to add my lovely ginger and my lovely finely minced up and grated pepper, because I'm going to be cooking this for about another 10 minutes, I'm estimating. So I'm going to put that in so that it gets nicely incorporated. Okay, so I've popped those in there. I'm going to stir it in. This has been 50 minutes, as I said. And I'm going to let it cook now for about another 10, and then I'm going to start doing my gel set tests. Okay, so I put that ginger and that jalapeno in here about 12 minutes ago. I saw that it needed another couple minutes just to get perfect for the gel set, and I'm going to show you how to be sure that it's right. What you do is you get a nice sterilized spoon, give it a good stir, take a little spoonful, and you're going to put it on that frozen plate that we had earlier. You're going to drape it across like that, and then you're going to take your finger and you're going to run it through. When you see how it's very slowly, like that line is staying here, that means that this is perfect, okay? If it comes together quicker, then you'll have more of a sauce, but you don't want to leave it much longer than this or it'll get too hard. So this is pretty much where I'm going to be wanting to take this off now, and I'm jarring it up. Okay, now I'm getting ready to can this all up. I've got my nice sterilized jars, which have been kept warm in the oven so that they're still sterile. I've just taken this off of the stove, and I have all my sterilized equipment here. Using the funnel, I am going to start scooping it in to these jars. I want to leave about 1/3 of an inch, 1/4 to 1/3 of an inch head space between the full jars and the lids. I have the lids keeping warm on the oven as well. Okay, and I basically am going to try to move quickly here because I want to ensure this is all hot. I've also got my canner getting ready to get boiling here, because I'm going to process these for about 20 minutes. I find that being here in a high elevation and where I am, I like to do these 1/2 pint jars for 20 minutes just to be sure, make sure I'm going to have a nice good safe seal. I'm going to wipe each of the rims before I put the lid on to ensure also that I have a nice seal with a nice clean cloth that's been put in boiling water. This recipe tends to make, depending on how much it has to boil down to get the set, it tends to make about 8 half-pint jars. Okay? Which is a nice amount for my family and for giving away. I hope you'll try it. It's really delicious. It's super tangy and it's also sweet, a little spicy. The ginger adds a nice note. It's really, I'm not joking when I say this is really one of my favorite things. It's really good with wings, right? You can imagine that is a sauce on a wing. Gonna do the bubbling now. Give each of these a nice stir. Make sure I don't have any air bubbles in it. And I'm gonna wipe each of these now. Okay, I have the hot lids here. Make sure you follow your manufacturer's instructions for these lids. I only use my lids once. It's frustrating to have to buy new lids, but at least I can use these jars over and over again as long as they're really well cleaned. But I would rather buy new lids than have somebody get sick because wasn't safe enough. When I put the rings on, hot part, I want to just finger tighten, not over tighten, finger tighten, because I don't want, if I over tighten it, it actually might not seal well. So I can hear that my canner is boiling now. As I said, I'm going to pop these in. I'm going to give them a good 20 minutes in the water bath. I will then place them on the counter, taking them out, and I'll let them sit for overnight, okay, just to make sure, and I'll listen for all the popping. Make sure I hear all those lids pop. Anything that doesn't pop, I'll just use right away and keep in the fridge. And yeah, these keep for about a year. Makes about 8 jars. It's delicious. I hope you'll try it. If you like red pepper jelly, I'm sure you're gonna love rhubarb red pepper jelly because it just adds that extra tang. It's amazing. Hope you give it a try. As you can see, I love rhubarb and I've got lots of rhubarb recipes there on the channel you might want to check out. I'll keep them coming and let me know in the comments if there's something else you want to see. And as always, I hope you'll take this chance to grow together today. Have a good one.